Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you are. Aloha Monday, warriors. And I got a special report today that I pre-recorded actually, and I'm going to play for you. It's about, the relationship between where I stand with longevity and where the mainstream stands. And this is a report by Peter Diamandis on the 2.1 trillion or whatever it is dollar potential of longevity through their lens, not mine. And so I want to make that perfectly clear that what the report says is not my opinion. In fact, I'm totally opposite to it. So let's see if I can get this to play and that everything works correctly and that you can also hear it. So let's go here. Okay, here we go. Aloha, Monday warriors. It is Monday, May 11, 2026, and here are 5 critical talking points from Peter Diamandis' latest Longevity Metatrend Report for our live stream. Before we dive in, I want to make it perfectly clear that I am totally opposed to these mainstream for-profit tactics. However, the noise out there in this case from Peter Diamandis is crucial to put into perspective and not get caught up in their hopium. 1. The $1.2 quadrillion opportunity. Longevity is no longer just a niche health pursuit. It is the largest emerging business opportunity of the next decade. ARK Invest projects that the total addressable market for longevity interventions, valuing quality years at $100,000 each, reaches a staggering $1.2 quadrillion. Currently, the global biotech market only captures about 0.1% of this potential. 2. Longevity escape velocity by 2033. We are in the midst of a health span revolution with the potential to reach longevity escape velocity, LEV, by 2033. This prediction, popularized by Ray Kurzweil, suggests that this is the decade we conquer the biological hardware and software challenges of aging. Technologies like AI, gene therapy, and cellular medicine are no longer just promises. They are delivering results today. 3. The surge in wearable valuations. The tools we use to track our progress are seeing unprecedented growth. Wearable health platforms like Whoop and Aura have now surpassed $10 billion valuations. This growth is built on the increasing demand for longevity and health span metrics as people look for actionable data to manage their vitality. 4. Breakthroughs in epigenetic reprogramming. The science of renewal is accelerating. The world's first partial epigenetic reprogramming therapies have officially entered human clinical trials. Furthermore, AI-engineered proteins have already achieved a 50-fold improvement in the performance of cellular reprogramming factors, signaling a massive leap in our ability to optimize the body at a cellular level. 5. The economic value of your health. The personal value of our work is now being quantified in extraordinary economic terms. Research from Harvard and Oxford shows that a slowdown in aging that increases life expectancy by just 1 year is worth $38 trillion globally. Increasing that expectancy by 10 years is valued at $367 trillion. This highlights that your health truly is your greatest wealth. And as we know, as ageless warriors, we do not need high-tech to increase lifespan. Instead, what we need is to remove a dependency on healthcare, taking care of ourselves. As ageless warriors, learning to fast for longer periods of time, learning about whole nutrition, and carefully selecting products preferably from local markets to support the local communities. Well, the mainstream data from this report is just that it's to make profits for corporations with tactics that hide the natural ways that we can increase our lifespan. I am certainly not in favor of any of these corporatized for-profit methods. I am, however, dedicated to implementing in my life and being the examples to others, occasionally being very raw and open about my mistakes, so that we can all benefit from a collective, let's call it experimentation. Believe that the advances to be made in longevity have nothing to do with current corporatized longevity tactics. And I want to emphasize here, we have the WHO agenda, which is to cull 90% of the population. So pay attention with due diligence to the time that you spend during your day on the ever-increasing external noise versus the internal solitude and peace.
Hey Finbar, great to see you here. Yeah, that report that I made earlier and pre-recorded for this session really delineates the shiny object syndrome at its worst, most devilish form. As if you've been looking at the posts below in the group, I've been putting in a lot about fasting, and that one gentleman, the black guy who went on a 120-day fast and lost 160 pounds or something, phenomenal. And it's like that tenacity that we need to reverse the indoctrination that we've been perpetuated upon us for generations. And I don't want to make this report go on very long, but it's like we have in our own bodies the capacity to heal. Out there, as I mentioned in the report, the genocidal agenda, which is 90%, and it's obviously in full stream go ahead right now, where the noise on the news is like pitching country against country, but actually when you examine it, all those countries have a very similar agenda. And they're all controlled by the same, well, let's call them the Khazarian Mafia, or you could call them the Rothschild, or the elites, or whatever you want to call them. And, they've made their trillion-dollar underground cities available for the elites, and it looks like we're all going to be wiped out. Now, that really refers us to, the fall of Atlantis and Lemuria and other ages prior to ours, and the cover-ups that have been going on for generations, whereby other races that were here, and I've just written a passage on the Menehune, who quarried up in the Mauna Kea here since the Ice Age, 12,000 years ago. And it's like every war, it's a banker's war, and every history is the history that the bankers approve to be written and fed to the next generation. So let's get off that treadmill. Let's really embrace the sovereignty that we are. And it's an internal process. It's the internal I am. It's not the eternal we are so much, but I am that. And I am that I am. And the connection to that source, which I believe is, the prana, the Gaia, the chi, the electricity, that is prevalent, and we've talked about that in previous live streams, that is so prevalent in our universe. And it's what makes all of these plants and all of these life forms happen. So let's get back to our roots. And as ageless warriors, we are at that front of being that warrior, being that strength, being that inner core, and being that belief system that we can share with our friends with authenticity. and get them off the medical treadmill, get them off the cancer fear porn, get them off all of this so-called research data, which is actually based on nothing. And that is the whole fallacy of our existence, that we need to see beyond that. Now, I understand that some of you, and actually most of us, are facing, real dire times of many, many jobs in order to make a living, of paying the mortgage or paying the rent or paying the car payments or paying off the student loan or whatever it is. I think that I don't have an answer for that. I saw this coming years ago, actually decades ago, and was astonished that when the WHO came out with this whole genocidal agenda back in the 70s, that more people didn't understand what was going on. And it's all because of that external noise. And it's all because of external noise like this Peter Diamandis, this is a report. So, God bless you, warriors. Looking forward to next week. And, please comment and like and subscribe. And we'll take it from there. Meantime, you have a great week. And looking forward to seeing you next week too. Aloha.